Hi everybody, this is Elgin of the Elgin Polar Walker team and another part of our short sale series as we're talking about some different things on tips for buying short sales if you're on the buyer side, some things that may be usual, unusual, some things that you may want to look for or look out for. A couple of things we're going to go over now. Number one here is, let's say you are putting together a deal on a short sale and you are being asked to put forth a deposit up front. If the listing agent is a good listing agent, in my opinion, and if the agent on the listing side is going to commit to you as a buyer, they also want the buyer, you, to commit to them, meaning this. The short sale process is a long process. It can be very tedious, very difficult. It's a lot of work. One of the most frustrating things from a listing agent standpoint is to go through all that hard work, get an approval, and come back to a buyer, and the buyer at that point say, I'm sorry, I bought another home, or I no longer want this particular property. Situations like that. Therefore, there you have your deposit. One is that the buyer puts up the deposit. Obviously, everyone's a little bit more committed, both buyer and seller. The buyer can have confidence with a deposit and an actual escrow opened that the listing agent is not and cannot take other offers and submit them to the bank. Therefore, you as a buyer have an option of obtaining this piece of property or losing it. I also would say you would want language in your contract stating that if the transaction were to fall apart again and no reason for yours on the buyer side, that you may unilaterally get your deposit back from escrow. That way you don't have to worry about the seller signing cancellation instructions and some situations like that. Talk to your realtor, or if you're working with myself or Pilar, we can instruct you better on how to do that. Also, please be prepared for the fact that you are going to be taking the property, in most cases, in as-is condition. When you're dealing on the short sale side, you have to remember, if you're a lender and there's $500,000 owed to you, and you agreed to accept $250,000 minus real estate commissions, title insurance, escrow fees, etc., you are not, in most cases, going to be really open to doing a lot of work on the property. Technically, it's still the seller's responsibility because they do own the property still, not the bank. But I mean, let's face it, if the seller's not able to pay their house note, we have a true hardship, they're losing the property one way or another. How realistic is to think that they will either have the means or the want to do repairs on the property? If they did, they would have probably completed those repairs and stayed in the house themselves. You also have to understand that in the short pay situation with the lenders, there are costs that may normally, quote unquote, be paid by the seller if there was equity, that the lender will not pay the existing lender, that then falls on the shoulders basically of the buyer. Things such as transfer tax, termite inspections, or termite work. Those are things that are all renegotiated sometimes when you're doing the short sale. So those are just some things to keep in mind. Also, one last point with opening the deposit and opening an escrow. That does not mean that your time frames should start prior to a written approval on the short sale. What I would suggest, though, as we do to our clients, is that if the property looks like it needs a lot of work ahead of time, you may want to invest earlier in that physical inspection. That investment may cost you a couple $100s or so, but it may make you decide that you don't want this property regardless of how the short sale turns out, and you move on. Who wants to wait 45, 60, 90, 120 days, do the physical inspection to find out something is wrong with the property that would keep you from wanting to purchase it or getting financing on it? Couple of quick tips. Hope this helps. We'll be doing a complete series. You will always go to us at www.youtube.com/Elgin Walker for our series. God bless. Remember, no matter what you're going through right now, it truly is a great life.